Fox News alert on our top story right now. The Israeli media reporting that the United States has offered the Israelis advanced weaponry in return for an Israeli promise not to attack Iran's nuclear facilities this year. A front-page article in a major Israeli newspaper saying Israel asked the U.S. for advanced bunker-busting bombs and refueling planes that could improve its ability to attack Iran's underground nuclear sites. White House press spokesperson Jay Carney spoke of a weapons deal, spoke in response to a question about this moments ago.
In the meetings the president had, there was no such agreement proposed or reached. We have, obviously, as we've discussed, high-level cooperation between the Israeli military and the U.S. military, and at other levels with other agencies within their government and our government. But that was not a subject of discussion in the president's meetings.
Notice he did not say that this was never discussed at any level. The comment was this did not come up in the direct meetings between President Obama and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Our Washington team and your own common sense underscores to you that it may have come up in other meetings. This is, again, on the front page of a major Israeli newspaper today, that this was the deal that was proposed. Are we giving Israel bombs in exchange for holding off on an attack until after the presidential election, until the end of 2012? Is that timing coincidental? We don't know at this hour. We only know what we're reading in the Israeli papers, and you heard the White House response moments ago. We're going to talk about it, and we're live in Israel just ahead. Well, new questions today about the White House's stance on the Keystone oil pipeline that would have stretched from Canada down to the Gulf Coast. Just a couple of weeks ago, the president's press secretary, who you saw there, Jay Carney, insisted that Republicans were to blame for killing this project. And that's not all. Listen to what he said.
The president didn't turn down the Keystone pipeline. There was a process in place, with long precedent, run out of the State Department because of the issue of a pipeline crossing an international boundary.
So it wasn't the president. But now there are reports that the president himself is personally lobbying Senate Democrats now to reject a new amendment that calls for the construction of this pipeline, irrespective of what the president says. We expect that vote to happen later today. Joining me now to discuss it, Leslie Marshall. She's a syndicated radio talk show host and a Fox News contributor. And Lars Larson, also a syndicated radio host with Compass Media Networks. So Jay Carney was trying to say that the president only said no to the pipeline when he said no, because he was being forced to give a decision prematurely. He didn't want to issue a decision until more review, and he was forced to make a decision. So he sort of said, if I have to do it now, the answer is no. But the implication from the White House all along has been he's been open-minded on this as it gets reviewed. Now, Lars, he seems to be lobbying directly to Senate Democrats saying, don't vote yes on this pipeline today. Is that a contradiction?
Yeah, I think it's a contradiction. I think the excuse of Hillary made me do it is not going to fly with the American public. You know, Megyn, it's sad, but this president is guilty of petrophobia. He's simply afraid of allowing Americans to have the oil, the diesel, the gasoline that they need to make the country run. This is a sad thing when we see the intolerance of petrophobia practiced from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. The president needs to get over it, get behind the pipeline, allow those union jobs to go forward, and allow that oil to flow. I mean, if we can allow millions of illegal aliens to cross our southern border, can't we allow a few 100,000 barrels of oil to cross our northern border?
Petrophobia. Leslie, you got to love that one. But if the president is so open-minded to this, depending on the environmental review and how things go, then why is he calling Senate Democrats? Because they say that this could be tight. This could be tight. He could lose. Why is he lobbying Senate Democrats to stick with the White House on this and not vote yes on taking the decision out of his hands?
Well, because quite frankly, the State Department says it hasn't been able to complete a full review. Even the governor of Nebraska, who's a Republican, where the diversion over the international line into the United States will come, says, wait a minute, this could pollute our water. And in addition to that, environmentalists are saying, and not just environmentalists, but scientists and the State Department are saying, we need to see what chemicals and how much of these chemicals are in the oil. God forbid there be a spill, just like we had with BP. So this isn't, no, we're never going to do it. This is a delay This is until we have all. This is the same thing he's been saying before.
Until the election's
he's saying
over.
no to this. He's saying no. He's saying no to this until we have reviewed everything to make sure we're safe. The people of Nebraska deserve to have safe drinking water. The people of America deserve to know what chemicals are in that
Lars,
oil.
there was a
Megyn.
split on this issue between the environmentalists and the unions. The unions want the jobs that this thing would create, and the Republicans want the oil, and the environmentalists are more concerned about the environmental issues. There was a thought that the president sort of catered to the environmentalists on this and ticked off the unions, but because he had to choose one. But now he's doubling down. I mean, he's really saying he means it. He could have just said, environmentalist, I did you a solid. Then Congress took it out of my hands. He seems to really not want this thing right now.
Megyn, this seems easy to read to me. The environmentalists will use the water and the sand dunes and all that as an excuse. The fact is, they don't want America using oil. And the president has said he wants America off oil. His energy secretary has said it out loud. His transportation secretary has said we will not favor motorized transportation over non-motorized. They want to take us back to what? The bicycle era? This isn't going to work. And the fact is that the president wants expensive oil because, and he said so himself, he wants $5 gasoline so that Americans will get out of their cars. And this year, for the first time, Americans have actually driven fewer miles than they did all the way back to 2003. The president is getting what he wants.
Leslie,
those environmentalists don't
is he doing this at a political peril? Because already today, forget once the GOP presidential candidates get a hold of this, already today, take a listen to the Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell.
And frankly, it's hard to even comprehend how completely out of touch he is on this issue. I mean, think about it. At a moment when millions are out of work, gas prices are literally skyrocketing, and the Middle East is in turmoil, we've got a president who's up making phone calls trying to block a pipeline here at home. It's really almost unbelievable.
Your thoughts?
Well, I'm not surprised that comes from him. I mean, that man made it very clear that it is his and Republicans' agenda to unseat the president. So that's not a big surprise. And it's not a big surprise that he feels that way, not only because he's a Republican. There are a lot of people who feel that way. However, this is a president that knows more than we do. More than we do. The aftermath of what happened with BP, he doesn't want to repeat. Hindsight is 20/20, and I think the president is being smart, again, in a preventative manner. This isn't saying no pipeline. This is saying what? A delay of perhaps what? 90 days, ensuring that construction of all of these materials are American-made. That's not what's on the floor for a vote right now.
I think it's a delay of longer than 90 days, but go ahead, Lars.
It's much longer than 90 days. And let Leslie answer this. The State Department's question is simple. Is it in the national best interest for this oil to cross the border? That's actually the technical question that Hillary Clinton has to answer. 3 years later, they can't figure out if it's good. Okay, and by the way, have Sandra Fluke call her buddy in the White House and explain she can't get through law school without having gasoline for her car. That might do the trick.
Leslie, last word.
Oh, God. Lars, I'm going to fall down from that one. That's worse than connecting Iraq to weapons of mass destruction. But anyway, the bottom line here is, if you're a governor of a state and that pipeline's coming through your state, and they say wait, and he's a Republican, Lars, please, I need to ensure that the drinking water of my state is going to be safe when it's the #1 killer of people and children throughout the world, dysentery, by the way. And secondly, when you're diverting the route, and we don't even have the actual route that it's been diverted to.
Okay, guys, got to go. Thank you both so much.